Who doesn't love a good free transfer? You get this absolute gem of a player and you don't even have to pay anything for them. Transfer deadline day has opened the day that this video is out on the YouTube. YouTube. It's out on YouTube, I know that. So I thought I'd make a list of 8. That's 5. 8 of the best free transfers Nottingham Forest could very well try and sign. Now, I am going to stress that none of these probably will happen. Are these even realistic? Well, based off how ambitious Nottingham Forest are, I think all of them are. We're nearly at 5,000 subscribers as well, so please, it would be particularly useful if you could hit that subscribe button. Just get me over the line. That'd be great. The first player we have is a player that has actually been linked with Forest in the past, this being Roberto Gagliadini from Inter Milan, fresh from losing the Champions League final, albeit not featuring in it. This would be a pretty smart acquisition. He's been at Inter for a number of years, having previously signed from Atalanta. There are a number of clubs that are interested in him though, these being mainly Lazio, Monza and Fenerbahce. He seems a pretty safe player to have in your side. I know the last time he signed a player from Italy in midfield didn't go quite how we expected it to, but let's just keep the faith, shall we? Let's keep the faith. He only played 19 times last season for Inter Milan in the Serie A, but overall he's played 190 times for Inter Milan. As I hinted at there, of course, he is a midfielder, more of a defensive midfielder, and that is an area of the team at Forest that could very well be improved. Obviously, we've got Yates, Danilo, Mangala, but besides that, there's no one else that really can fully be trusted. Cuarte's ageing, Freuler's inconsistent, O'Brien, is he going to be good enough? Colback's left the club as well, so a midfielder is definitely needed. Oh, and Jonjo Shelvey exists as well. I doubt this one will happen. We're not even linked with this player at all. But Moussa Dembele from Lyon, a proven striker. He's played in England before, albeit not in the Premier League, having played previously with Fulham in the Championship. Absolutely ripped it up for them, by the way. 23 appearances last season, only 3 goals, but overall for Lyon, he's played 170 times and got 70 goals. You can't really argue with that. I'd describe him as a fairly quick player, likes to take on his man, he's a penalty taker as well. Not the same as a Wani, but he could definitely be a very good backup. I wouldn't necessarily say he'd replace Taiwo, especially on Taiwo's form at the end of the season, but I do feel Moussa Dembele for free would be a really good bit of business. However, Everton, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce and Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia are linked with him. Now this one, again, I'm not sure if this is realistic or not, but let's just have a bit of fun, shall we? Marcus Turram from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Can you get any more German if you tried with that name? I love saying that. The French striker has been at Gladbach since 2019, went to the World Cup, featured a number of times throughout their run to the World Cup final, so I think it would be a good acquisition. In fact, not just good, it would be an incredible acquisition, but unfortunately, Milan and PSG in particular are interested in him, so he's most likely going to go there. But just imagine, Turram and a Wani. Blimey, that would be some strike force. He may be a striker predominantly, but he often does drift wide in his game. Very good with the ball at his feet, and ultimately he takes his chances, and this is exactly what Taiwo was doing at the end of the season. That man that you can rely on in the crucial moments, right place, right time. Now this one is more realistic, but I still don't think it would happen. Wilfried Zaha, someone that we should all know a lot about, of course. Crystal Palace legend, I'd say. 458 games for Crystal Palace is pretty insane. He can play on the left wing and the right wing. Love it. It's so useful. He is 30, but of course a very proven, experienced player. We know exactly what Wilfried Zaha offers: an awful amount of skill, pace, clinical chances. More often than not, he's an excellent player, but he is linked with PSG as well and Turkey. Vladimir Coufal. I don't see this happening, given the fact he's just won the Conference League with West Ham, but his contract is expiring, so we've got to put this out there. I think that would be a good bit of depth at right back. Don't think we desperately need a right back, but I wouldn't say no to a right back, and you can get him for free at right back, then we're not going to complain about that. We've got Serge, we've got Nico, of course. Nico can play further forward, he can play on the left, so I don't think it would entirely rule him out of proceedings at all. Aurier has also proven he can play at centre back as well, so I'm not sure how much game time Coufal will get. I'm not sure if he'd want to be a backup, but he's a proven, highly professional, reliable player from what I've seen of him at West Ham, and I wouldn't be against it. Now this guy, I will be honest, I'd never heard of him before I started researching this video, but this is the thing, I wanted to be a bit more adventurous. Let's put a name out there and let's just see what happens. Eli Sakiri, he plays in midfield for Cologne over in the Bundesliga. He played pretty much every game in Cologne's Bundesliga campaign, where they came 11th in the top division of Germany. He scored an important goal in a 1-1 draw against Bayern Munich in this season, and saying that he is predominantly a defensive midfielder, he scored 7 goals. I don't think I ever remember Remo Freuler even taking a shot from defensive midfield. Or, no disrespect, but even the likes of Mangala and Yates, I don't see many players in our midfield taking shots or getting forward, and yet this guy from midfield has scored 7 goals. He is pretty high in demand. Rennes, Leverkusen, Sevilla, Roma are all interested in the midfielder, and it is worth mentioning he played every game for Tunisia at the World Cup last year, albeit they got knocked out of the group quite harshly. I think it could be quite a useful option. He's a player that likes to get stuck into his tackles. Like I say, from defensive midfielder, he can score goals and he's very composed on the ball. I like the look of him, only I doubt we're going to see it. I looked at that name and I thought, I've never heard of you, but I've got a good feeling about you. I researched him and I thought, yes, you can play football pretty well, mate. Forest do need a winger, and we've got a player here, potentially for free. Jonathan Bamba from Lille, who played an awful amount of games for Lille this season. 34 matches in league and 6 goals, 7 assists. It's not a bad return. Lille came 5th in League and this season, and again, a bit like Wilfried Zaha, can play on both sides of each flank. A very useful player to have. He's been called up recently to the Ivory Coast squad for their qualifiers. I think he'd be a good player to get in, honestly. From what I've seen of him, he likes to run with the ball, take on his man. He's good at doing that as well. And he's also got that physicality to his game as well. And the final name we've got, I won't lie, I was scraping the barrel because I'm not too sure myself whether I'd like to see this happen or not. Yerry Mina, ex-Everton centre-back. Hear me out. 28 years of age, proven in the Premier League, physical presence at the back. He only played 7 times last season due to an ankle injury. He was one off making 100 appearances for Everton in his time there. Signed from Barcelona, of course, which I still find a bit bizarre that he was even playing for them. If we were to sign Mina, I'd only want him to be a depth player. In no way at all do I think Mina should be starting ahead of Felipe, Niakate, Wall. No way. But, like, look at the depth that we needed last season with all the injuries. I think Mina would be a pretty useful player to step in if we had to have someone come in. Obviously, besides those main 3 centre-backs, we've got Bolly and McKenna and Biancon coming back into the fold. I don't think centre-back is entirely important that we sign one necessarily, but this could be a good one for depth potentially, but I'm not sure, and I don't necessarily expect it to happen either. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, everyone. A bit of a different thing to do. I don't normally go out and scout players like this necessarily. I normally just report on what we're actually being linked with, and that will definitely be coming throughout the summer every single week. Please stay tuned for all of that by liking and subscribing to the channel. We're nearly at 5,000 subscribers. It would mean honestly everything to get there. I'd love to get there as soon as possible. And yeah, see you soon everyone. Up the Reds.